Welcome back to the 4-8 Men podcast. Today I have Brett Phillips on the podcast, and Brett is just an awesome human. He is a husband, a two-way player for the Tampa Bay Rays, and I'm so happy for him to be on the podcast today.
Christian, what's up, brother? First of all, thanks for having me. Super pumped to be talking about things that I'm passionate about. My faith, working out, and you threw in two-way player. Everyone knows me as a two-way player, so we'll definitely have to talk about that too. But, man, thanks for having me.
Man, well, seriously, thank you so much for being on. Yeah, I heard you in the interview kind of joke about being a two-way player, and I definitely have to introduce him as a two-way player.
That was pro right there. You're doing your research.
Thank you. Well, I do want to ask you about that because that was just a few weeks ago that you pitched against the Angels, and Mike Trout hit about a 410-foot home run off you. So in what situations do you get brought in to pitch? And because it's a pretty hilarious thing to watch you get up there and pitch.
You know, so over a course of 162 games like that are going to happen where we're getting blown out. You know, we just didn't show up that night. It's not like football where you have to wait another week to get back out there. And so Kevin Cash comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you want to throw to Mike Trout?" I was like, let's go get him. And obviously everyone's like, "Why didn't you throw hard?" You know, I'm not a pitcher and I'm not trying to get hurt. So I just went out there, lobbed it, and it's super impressive that he hit the ball that far off of 48 miles an hour. I don't know if you've been to like the local batting cages where, you know, they're throwing the rainbows at you. Uh-huh. It's the hardest thing to hit. And he made it look easy as what he does to everyone. So I didn't feel that bad. But I'm just super glad I kept Shohei Ohtani in the park.
Did you know that the ball was gone when he hit it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Right when – I mean, those guys – if they make good contact with good trajectory, most of the time, you know, it's going out. And he was laughing at – I've never met Mike, but he's one of my favorite players. And as he's walking up to the plate, he smiles at me, and I just knew.
Yeah.
He's probably going to take me deep.
You just knew something was going to happen.
So, Mike Trout smiling at me, let's be honest, he's the best player in the game. Probably something's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I love the motion that you had, too. Is that something that you've practiced? Because, I mean, I'm sure – I mean, do you stand in the mirror and watch yourself, like, practice that motion, or is that something that somebody taught you, or where does that come from?
So last season when I pitched the Blue Jays, and I have guys coming up like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. who can hit the ball 120 miles an hour, I was not trying to do the regular pitching motion where I was going to get like squared up in the back. So that like forward motion is when I throw it, it gives me enough time to just be in a good ready position. Just in case one of those dudes smokes one right back at me, like I already have my glove up.
Yeah, that's actually super smart.
I mean, what can I say? I have a high school level education, so
if he hit it 120 back up the middle, do you think that you would actually have enough time to react though?
Not at all. Just as long as my glove is in front of my face.
There you go.
Then I can take it anywhere else in my body. But I mean, 120 to the nose. That's going to be a long recovery time.
You would maybe never pitch again if you took 120 to the nose.
Yeah, you might as well just cart me off.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you know, something that I love about you, because me and my wife were actually watching the game. It wasn't last year. It was 2 years ago, right, when you hit the walk-off?
2 years ago, 2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah, I thought it was 2020. But we were watching that game, and we were freaking out when that happened. And I know that somebody else who was freaking out was you. So walking up to the plate, you know, 2 outs. What were you thinking? Were you nervous? Were you calm? Because you seemed pretty calm. And even I will say, the second pitch that was called a strike, I don't think it was a strike. But
that was a ball.
It was definitely outside. But you know what? I mean,
Kenley Jansen's gonna get that.
What were you thinking? You know, with 2 outs, 2 strikes, this is probably the biggest moment career-wise of your life, and you seem super calm.
Man, I'm going to tell you a cool story that I think you're going to love. So the circumstances leading him up to that at-bat, I was left off the roster in the ALCS. I hadn't had an at-bat in 2 weeks. I hadn't had a hit in a month. And I was strictly on the roster during that World Series was to play defense and to base run, essentially. So as the game was going on, I see we're using guys left and right off the bench. And in the 8th inning, I go in to pinch run for G-Man Choi. And so after the inning, I go out to right field. Usually when you pinch run for a guy, you're going in like the 8 or 9 spot in the lineup because he just hit. So I wasn't thinking about hitting at all. We're down 1 run at the time. So if it got to me, the game would be over if I was like in the 8 or 9 spot. So as I'm coming in, Hoover, one of our coaches, says, "Hey, you're up 5th. You're going to win this game for us." And I like, and on the outside, I was like, "Heck yeah, I am." But on the inside, it's like, this man crazy? Like, I haven't had an at-bat in 2 weeks. What do you mean? So I go down in the cage, and I'm taking BP, just getting loose. Now, every other situation I've been in where I've pinch hit, I get this like performance anxiety, I call it, where everything is just sped up, right? Like my heart is super fast. I'm in between breaths, and I never feel that anywhere else but when I'm in front of 30,000 fans and I'm sitting on deck and I have to pinch hit. And so during that moment, I'm in the on deck circle. Randy Arozarena, he's had a great playoff series, so he's getting on base. And I recite my favorite Bible verse, Isaiah 41:10. "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your Lord. I will help you. I will strengthen you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And I kid you not, Christian, I felt just this calmness come over me.
Wow.
Where I was just like, oh, this is different. I'm almost searching for the feeling of that performance anxiety because it's all gone.
Yeah.
And walking up to the plate, I was just like, swing the bat. Like, you're good. You're fine. And so I'm in the box. And like you said, strike 1, strike 2, questionable, was not phased at all.
Yeah.
Just this calmness was over me. It felt different. And sure enough, made contact, which I was super surprised about, running down to first base. I was like, no way, I just made contact. And the rest was history. Taylor makes an error. And then Will Smith, the catcher, makes an error. And I always tell everyone, 100% God had his hand on me in that moment, because that is peak focus. You're talking about the World Series where you have 2 outs, down by 1 run, man on first and second. Everyone is focused on that play, and then you have 2 errors that just it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because, like you said, you were down 1 run. Taylor makes the error, so 1 run scores, and then what's his name?
Arozarena.
Yeah, he trips rounding third, so then he would have gotten in a rundown if Taylor caught the ball, but then he missed it. So it really was like such a crazy God thing. Because like I said, it's the World Series. Everybody's like, in the zone. 2 errors, and then kind of like a base running error, all in the span of like 10 seconds, and y'all win the game. Like it's crazy.
It'll go down as one of the most improbable of any sports that, like, in a or World Series or Super Bowl, like, that has ever happened. And all the glory to God. I said it in my interview. Just what a special moment. And for those who don't know the story, 2 months prior, I was in Kansas City. I wasn't playing. I didn't know what the future of my baseball career looked like at the time. And I actually got traded at the deadline and, to Tampa Bay, my hometown team. And I got to play in the World Series, and that moment happens. I know we didn't win the World Series, but to have that, it really propelled my confidence and to where I'm at in my career now.
Yeah. After that moment, did you know that life would be different in the sense of, like, that is a marker of what people were gonna know you as?
It's really cool to have a moment like that, because before that, Christian, I was just known as the really funny guy who's got a funny laugh. He's always happy and he's always nice, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a Major League Baseball player. It'd be nice to be known for cool moments like walk-off hits in the World Series or, hitting home runs and stuff. So I really bridged the gap of the funny guy and, hey, he can actually play too.
Yeah. Almost like that. Put some respect on my name.
Put some respect on my name. There you go.
Well, something that I heard you do, and I love it so much. Before games, you come out 20 minutes before, and you talk to fans and you sign autographs, and a lot of people say that you're the only one that's ever been that intentional about it. So where does that come from? Why do you have such a heart for fans and for people, on just a human level?
No, I appreciate that. First of all, fans are the most important part of this game.
Yeah.
Without fans, sports would not be anything in general. You'd just have a bunch of talent in some backfields and, it'd be competitive, but it wouldn't be fun. Fans make this game great. And Christian, I grew up 20 minutes from the Trop. I grew up a Tampa Bay Rays fan, and I knew what it was like to go up there to the Trop and enjoy a game. And the only thing I wanted to do when I was a kid was to talk to a baseball player, was to get an autograph. And here I am 20 years later in a position to be able to remember that and give back to the next generation. I just care about people, and I want the next generation. If there's one kid who becomes a Major League Baseball player, he'll remember how Brett Phillips treated him as a kid, and he'll want to do the same.
Yeah, that's so special. And I do think that, like you said, I grew up, we were kind of closer to Atlanta, so we grew up going to Braves games. I remember we sat in a stand, and I think I got a foul ball from Brian McCann, and then my brother got one from Chipper Jones. So it was a cool moment. Obviously, they didn't sign him or anything, but just being a kid going to that ballpark, all you wanted to do was just meet a baseball player, and for you to be that intentional about it's really special.
And it's something that you remember.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like, you remember the names of those players who you got a foul ball from.
Yeah.
And they're coming out there to support us. The least I can do is take 20 minutes to support them, give them an autograph, say hello. Yeah.
I wish more people thought like that, for sure. It's really cool. Well, you can throw 104 miles an hour from the outfield and hit home runs. So, to perform at such a high level like that, what kind of training goes in to be able to do that for you?
Yeah, so first of all, I've been doing this my whole life. Baseball has, obviously growing up, I played other sports. I played football in high school, but baseball has always been my first love. Talk about 104 miles an hour from the outfield. Good throwing routine from the age of 8, 9 years old. Coach had us out there long tossing. I know you're familiar with that, but having a good throwing routine, and then, now as a Major League Baseball player, it's a responsibility in the off seasons to get after it, to prepare your body for over a course of 162 games. It starts with Monday through Friday. I'll take a couple weeks off after the season ends, and then I'm right to it. My wife likes to work out, which makes it that much more enjoyable. We get to do it together. So routine looks like this. We'll wake up around 9 and get coffee, have breakfast, hang out, get some quality time in, and then we'll head to the gym. Whatever that day workout may be, whether it's, Monday chest and tris with core, Tuesday back and buys with core, Wednesday legs, and then, shoulders, repeat that throughout the week. And then after working out, I'll head and do my baseball stuff, hitting, throwing, fielding. It's nonstop every single day, Monday through Friday. And then at night, I end it with some hot yoga, something that I picked up a couple years back, and I just absolutely love it. I'm a firm believer in hot yoga, what it does for my body with flexibility, injury prevention, all those great things. And so that's just a little sample of what allows me to sustain 104, allows me to sustain hitting homers, and throughout the course of a season.
Yeah, no, I've never done hot yoga. I've heard great things about it. We don't have it here in West Monroe, Louisiana, that I'm aware of, but I want to hop on the train one day because I've heard great things about it.
Listen, you come see me, I'll take you through a hot yoga class. We'll go up there. It is by far the hardest thing that you will probably experience.
Really?
And I say that humbly because, listen, I've done it all. I've done CrossFit. I've done a bunch of different type of workouts. But when you're holding a pose, I don't know how flexible you are.
See, that's the problem. I'm not flexible at all.
Not flexible at all. And you're holding a pose in 100-degree, yoga room. It's hot. You're sweating. You have to find it in yourself to slow everything down, to really just get into that stretch and hold it. And you'll find yourself burning 500-600 calories in an hour session. I'm not even lying. It's a heck of a workout. It'll be me and you and about 12 other middle-aged women who are having a great time. They're just enjoying it, and you're gonna be like, oh, there's no judgment, but you're gonna be judging yourself like, you gotta be better. You gotta be better than this.
Hey, we're gonna make this happen.
100%. You're gonna come do some hot yoga with me.
Do you ever do the cold tub plunge stuff?
Yeah. So every day after the game, I'm a big contrast fan. I think it's great for inflammation, reducing inflammation. Right after the game, if I start that night, I'll start like 2 minutes in the hot tub, which is like 105 to 110 degrees. And then from there, I'll go do 4 minutes in like 50 degree, like a cold tub. Yeah. And then I'll go back in the hot tub for a few minutes and then end in the cold. But going home, because we play 162, your body is wrenched throughout a course of a season.
Yeah.
Just every single day, the grind and the wear and tear. So things like that, the little things that you can do to reduce inflammation, no matter how much it sucks, because you and I both know that cold tub is brutal, but it's very good for your body.
Yeah, see, I know it's great. Yeah, it's just I struggle with it because it's very difficult, and I don't have a breathing problem. I have like a deviated septum, and Sadie always says that I have like I just can't breathe really good. So when I get in the cold tub, I have such a hard time breathing, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's those first initial minute and a half. I tell everyone, just get through the minute and a half. Try and slow your breath down, slow that heart rate down. I know for you, just because you just told me having a breathing issue, I mean, if you have to mouth breathe it super slow, breathe it super slow.
There you go. There you go. Well, because this is a super interesting statistic, and I'm not sure if you know it. You probably do, but do you know that you have beaten Babe Ruth in a I guess a world record, I guess you could say?
Yeah.
So I was going to read it. Yeah. So between July 29th and August 11th, 2021, you hit 3 grand slams. Then on August 16th, you hit an inside the park home run. And this combination of grand slams and an inside the park home run in 19 days broke the previous record held by Babe Ruth, which was 36. That's pretty crazy.
Man, God's got his name written all over that one. He's got a crazy sense of humor. Let me tell you what, I had no idea what was even going on. They called after the 3rd grand slam I hit and said, "Hey, do you know that you just beat Babe Ruth's record that's been standing for close to 100 years?" And I said, "Please, I know that I beat his record, but put me second. Like, my name above, like, Babe Ruth in anything does not sound, Brett Phillips, Babe Ruth, like, does not sound right at all." They were laughing. But, man, just crazy moments like that. We talked about the World Series, having a moment like that, and then beating Babe Ruth's record, having no idea. It's really cool to, like I said, to be bridging the gap of that just fun, nice player with that good player. And I don't know, I feel like you just don't have that connection with guys throughout sports in general.
Yeah.
The superstars, they're never accessible. You never really get to, and then the nice guys and, the funny guys. So again, just trying to enjoy myself. I'm so blessed to be able to play Major League Baseball, and to have moments like that makes it so much more worth it.
Yeah, it really is crazy because most people don't hit 3 grand slams in their whole career, and you did it in like, I don't know, 14, 15 days. I mean, it's crazy.
And you have to give credit where credit is due, right? Grand slams are hit because your teammates did their job. Yeah. They got on base for you, and you just happened to come up. Guys may not even come up at all with the bases loaded throughout a course of a season, which sounds crazy as it is. And I came up in 19 days with the bases loaded more than 3 times.
Yeah.
And so those moments, they have to be primed. Like, guys have to do their job for that to happen. So just really cool to have that moment.
Yeah, I mean that it really is crazy because I played baseball growing up. I don't know if I ever hit one grand slam, let alone 3, in the span of 19 days. Well, yes, we've talked a lot about baseball, and you play Major League Baseball. As a follower of Jesus in a sport like baseball, how do you train yourself spiritually? How do you focus on your faith, and how do you maintain that relationship in a sport that is so time consuming? We talked about 162 games, workouts, traveling. You're married now. How do you prioritize your faith with all that going on?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it starts with community. First, I want to touch on the community at the field. I always tell everyone what makes the Tampa Bay Rays so great is we lead the league in guys attending baseball chapel on Sunday.
Wow.
We've got like half the team that come in, and it's so funny because every time I'll get to baseball chapel a little early when we're on the road, and there'll be a chaplain for the first time that is speaking to the Tampa Bay Rays, and we just have guys coming in one by one, right? And I just see the chaplain's face just light up. And every single time, 10 out of 10 times, the chaplain's going to say, wow, this is a lot of guys. We have such a great group of guys who love the Lord, who love to play this game. And when you're at the field, you feel that, right? You know that, hey, you're not in this alone. You have guys praying for you. You have guys picking each other up. I mean, it is just so amazing to be a part of. And you can't say that for, obviously, I've been on other teams, and it's been different. I've had the other side where there's a couple guys who go to chapel, and you got it's just a different vibe. So community at the field. Now, my wife and I, she's my number one supporter, literally the calmness to my storm, the backbone of this crazy world, this craziness that we live in. Being a Major League Baseball player, it's very rewarding, but it's tough. We're on the road. We're gone most of the year. We're grinding. I'm at the field for a 7:00 game. I'm at the field at 1:00. So the time away from your wife or your significant other is a lot, and you have to have a foundation. You each both have to have a foundation, and obviously for us, like I said, Bree having a solid foundation in her faith, and we come together, and she's praying for me. We pray together, and that makes my season way better. Right now, I'm actually struggling at the plate hard, and every single night, she's encouraging me, picking me up, praying for me. Man, you do not know how good that feels when you've got everyone else roasting you on Twitter and social media, telling you you're not good enough. Hey, it doesn't matter. God's got me. My wife, she's praying for me. And so that, that makes it all better. And then third thing with community is my mentors and just my friends, people around me who are constantly texting me, Christian, man, hey, I know you're grinding. I know you're struggling, but I'm praying for you. It's going to be all good, man. Sending me scripture, picking me up. For me, it just makes the grind of the season, the suck, the poor performances, like I find myself, because I'm human, like, man, I gotta be better. And then I get a text or my wife like, no, you don't. Like, are you doing everything you can to be the best that you can be? Are you working hard? Are you showing up with a good attitude? Are you being a good teammate? Are you trusting in the Lord? Like, those are the things that you can control. Everything else is out of your control. It's nonsense. And that's that, like, human element of wanting to fight, right? Your flesh to want to be and to want to perform. We want to perform so bad for everyone, but at the end of the day, it's taking a step back. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but that is what makes the season way better.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's because community really is, man. Like, if you get a good community of guys, guys specifically around you that you can, talk through things with, uplift one another, confess things with one another, and really just do life with. That's how we were wired, to be in community with other believers, and it really is so special to have that bond with people, and your faith grows, and all those different things. I think people sometimes neglect that community aspect of being with other believers.
100%. Just picking each other up, that praying for each other, encouraging, it's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So did you grow up a believer, or was there something in your life that, you kind of had a moment?
Yeah, so mom had my sister and I in Christian school through 4th grade, and I got my taste of God and the Bible through Veggie Tales. I don't know. Did you
Yes,
watch
yeah, I watched
Veggie Tales
VeggieTales.
growing up? So people listening who don't know Veggie Tales, it was an animated cartoon show that projected Bible stories in the form of vegetables. And as a kid, I thought it was so cool that whoever was followed God and the vegetables who were good friends and loved and respected, they always came out on top, right? They always won. And I could relate that to, as a kid, I just always wanted to win. And so as I got older and I matured in my faith, it was in 7th grade, I had the background of the Bible. And then you introduce this guy, Jesus, right? The Son of God, who I accepted into my life in 7th grade and tied it all together. And from there, I just always had, a relationship with God. I always felt that I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to love and respect people and just love how we're called to love, and how I've watched my life play out from that. Just the coolest stories ever. Stories that could only be, given from God. All the, just stuff like the World Series hit happening. That's only through a God thing. That is what I feel in my heart, and that is what I believe. And I just feel so blessed to have had a relationship for so long with God, because, man, He has showed up for me more times than not.
Yeah, man, that's so awesome. Yeah, something I want to. It's kind of spiritual, but also kind of just, human in a way. How do you get to a point where, because we kind of talked about, training yourself through mentors, through community, your wife. How do you get to a point where, on a game where you don't, perform the way that you would like to perform, how do you, still be able to, talk to fans, do interviews, and not let that, outside world, the performance kind of dictate, because obviously I'm sure it's a struggle at times, but how do you get to a point where, you don't let those things get to you in that sense, and you're still, the same extrovert Brett that you are 20 minutes before the game?
It starts from my childhood. I had never felt pressure from my parents to perform.
That's awesome.
When I got home from a game, whether I did good or bad, my mom or dad never, not once, I can remember them saying, "What was that? What were you doing? Why did you strike out?" They never tried to be the coach. It was always positive encouragement. And so, honestly, from a young age, I just never developed, I guess, the habit to put so much pressure on myself to perform. And as I grew and matured, and as I got older, as the competition arose, I just realized that the worrying or just taking care of the things that I can control. And I know I touched on it earlier, but that's what it boils down to. When I go to the field, having that routine where I know, regardless of what's gonna, my performance is, am I gonna stay healthy from that? Am I gonna do everything I can to be prepared for the game? Is it gonna help me stay healthy? Is it gonna help me to perform, right? Like, the work that we put in on a daily basis and how we treat people, when you think about it, is the only thing that we can control. And so after the game, I can sit with that. I can be content in knowing I can look myself in the mirror and say, hey, I did everything I could leading up to that moment that I could to perform, and it just didn't work out today. And we're gonna move forward. We're gonna keep my head up, and tomorrow is gonna be a new day. We're gonna bounce back, and we're gonna do it again. And honestly, it started with how my parents instilled those, characteristics in myself from an early age.
Yeah. How do you feel like having a foundation of faith like that has helped you in the sense of, like, because, if you get flack from, social media, Twitter, all these different things, how do you feel like if you didn't have that foundation of faith to where, if you were just living super worldly. How do you feel like that would play out differently in your life? You know, because I feel like there is that strive to perform. There is that, you know, worrying about what people say. Like, and I feel like the more you just focus on that, it can just weigh on you. And it's really cool to hear you talk because, you know, for me, something that I can sometimes struggle with is like the performance aspect. Like I'm a 1 on the Enneagram, so I'm like a perfectionist. I love to perform. I love things to be perfect. And sometimes my faith can struggle when, you know, things aren't fitting the certain criteria that I think it should sometimes fit. So it's really cool and refreshing to hear you talk about just the way that you do it, because that's something that I can sometimes struggle with.
Yeah, so a lot of the times we associate success with like happiness. Like, you're right. Like, your joy should come from, obviously, for me, is my relationship with God has given me the joy to wake up each and every day and be almost excited to want to just pour into people, love people, and also work so hard in my routine where the results you get to a point where the results really, they just don't matter at all, because at the end of the day it's a mindset. But obviously you have your relationship with God that you are controlling the only things in your life, which is, hey, you wake up, you know, you thank God and you get after it and you treat people with love and respect, and throughout your day you just keep moving forward, and you never think about the results that come from it, good or bad. Like you stay. I always tell people your routine should kind of be a little boring, in a sense of, you know where to show up each and every day, and you know what to do because you feel joy from that, but you've had success before, so you know that it works. And I think that we try and want to do more, right? We want to be someone we're not, but in reality, it's like, man, I know I keep going back to it, but it's just all out of your control. And I can relate to you right now, man. I'm hitting like 150 as we speak. And I feel the flesh in me feels like, only for a second, because when I talk about it, I feel God tell me, yo, you shouldn't be feeling like this. This is not how you should be feeling. But because we're human, I'm doing everything I can. I'm working hard. But I'm not getting the results. And the human and the flesh in me is saying, well, you know, you got to be better, right? Like, you're not performing. You're not good enough. But God is saying no, right? He's saying just stay the course. Keep pouring into people. Put people before you. Work hard. Continue the boring routine that you're doing. And regardless, I got you. You know, and that is what I sit in peace with, and I'm convicted and I'm passionate about it. So I can show up each and every day with a smile on my face, regardless of my, you know, failures or whatnot, because I'm not associating my results with my daily routine.
Yeah. Man, that is so good. I needed to hear that. No, seriously, like that's so, because it really is a spiritual maturity thing too, you know, like if you reach a point where you truly do, like James says, consider everything, or consider it pure joy when you face many trials. Like it takes a spiritual maturity to get to a point where you can actually look at life like that. Because for a lot of people, you know, even like speaking, like, I know I'm saying like a lot. This is a problem of mine. But the idea of like
mine is so you don't worry about it.
I say both of them a lot. But from a practical standpoint, you know, you would associate when you hit 3 grand slams in 19 days that your faith was through the roof, and then now hitting 150, your faith is kind of struggling. You know, so how do you get to a point where your faith is just as strong then as it is now? And it's really cool, you know, because it sounds like you've gotten to a point where it is, you know, we have fleshly temptations and we have, you know, the enemy, we have all these things that want to try to stray us away from the Lord. But if we have a solid foundation, then it's like, no, it does not matter how I perform, but if I'm loving people and if I'm pursuing a relationship with Christ, then good things are going to come. And even if they don't, He's still good. And it's not my job to perform super well, but it's my job to be obedient to what He's called me to do. And it's just really cool, man. Like seriously.
I'm reading Job. Job is one of my favorite books. Job, I love Job. And man, one thing that I sit with every single day, like God gives and God takes away, and we must trust that He is good at the end of the day. What are we called to do, Christian? We're called to just love and respect. We've already accepted Christ into our life, but work hard, have fun, enjoy yourself. And if God gives, all the glory to Him. God takes away, all the glory to Him. We move forward, we stay the course.
For sure. Well, if you're listening or if you're listening, then you might not see Brett's shirt, but if you're watching on YouTube, you see it. And it's more than just a shirt. It says baseball is fun. Brett, can you kind of talk a little bit about where that comes from and what the heart behind what you're wanting to create with that is?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking about it. So baseball is fun. It came about after the World Series. In my interview, after I just about passed out, I said, man, baseball is fun. Not even thinking about it. And for the next couple weeks after, everyone was just like, that's the best quote ever, right? Like, baseball is fun. We love this. And at the time, my wife was selling jewelry at Golden Diamond Source. And I got with my wife, and I sat down, and we were like, we should really create something with baseball is fun and make it somewhat of like a movement where because you probably have seen this. There's a lot going on in youth sports right now with parents putting way too much pressure on their kids to perform. They think like with travel sports and, you see all these videos on the internet where parents are yelling at umpires and parents are yelling at kids and stuff. And it's just unacceptable. And, I've never had to deal with that as a kid, and the main reason why I'm a Major League Baseball player today is obviously God, but my parents never put that kind of pressure on me. So I took out a piece of printer paper, and I wrote baseball is fun one time, and that's the logo you've got. And I said, all right, babe, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a couple hundred shirts. We're probably only going to sell some to our friends and family, but that's okay. It'll be cool. See if we can make a business out of this. And if you want to leave your job, you can. You can make your own hours. This will be all yours. You're the CEO. I'll just market it. And so we went live. In like 30 seconds, they were gone. Wow. Right? People absolutely loved it. So now... Here we are, we're coming up on a year, and baseball is fun. It's just doing a great job. And through that, we've been able to help with like charities. Bree and I partnered with the Children's Dream Fund, and in the Rays, we took 10 kids with life-threatening illnesses to Busch Gardens, which is an amusement park, the other day, and just had a great time. And giving back to the community is what it's all about. Again, I am so blessed to be a Major League Baseball player. We were called when we were blessed to bless others. And so that is just what ultimately we're trying to do. And through it all, remind parents, hey, baseball is fun. Sports are fun. Stop putting so much pressure on your kids to perform.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. And it's even like the verse, to whom much is given, much is required. Well, man, last thing I want to ask you, this has seriously been one of my favorite conversations, just because it really is just a conversation. I don't really view this as me interviewing you. I really just look at this as a conversation, and I've learned so much about you in the span of 45 minutes, and this has just been super awesome. And something that we do on the podcast is we get each guest to give a physical and a spiritual challenge, and just trying to keep people engaged. Like I said, I never really know how many people are actually doing them, but it's just something fun to do. It keeps me active, it keeps me in the Word, it keeps me in all these different things. So with all that to say, what physical and spiritual challenge do you have for the week?
Oh man, Christian, thank you for having me. It's speaking to men like you who love the Lord and are passionate about sports and working out. It's always fun. I want to tell you a quick story that I think you'll really enjoy before I get into that. Yesterday, it just happened yesterday. My mentor, who's a pastor in Tampa, his name is JJ. He texts me and my wife. He says, "Hey, I've got a really cool God story for you. Think you'll really enjoy it." And so we call him up. I say, "JJ, what's going on?" And he says, "Hey, listen, you remember that interview we did 2 years ago?" So I went to his church and I gave my testimony after the World Series hit. Got to talk about my faith, and he said, "You remember that interview?" I said, "Sure do." He goes, "Well, one of my assistants is in Chicago right now because her parent is super sick. And the doctor working with my parent is a huge Brett Phillips fan." And wow. I asked him, and I said, why do you like Brett Phillips? And he goes, "Oh, I love the way he, plays the game. He's always so happy. He's always having a good time." And she goes, "Well, can I send you an interview that I think you will enjoy of Brett Phillips?" And he goes, "Yes, of 100%. So Christian, this man watches this interview about my testimony, and the next day, JJ says that he comes back and he's in tears, and he's like, I want to know Jesus, right?
Wow.
I want what Brett's got. Like, how do I get there?" And he accepted Christ into his life. And he goes to Easter, and he made his whole family at Easter dinner watch the hour-long interview. And right, like the whole family's like, "Yeah, we want that," right? And I say that because interviews like this, people may be just searching Brett Phillips or Christian, like searching our name, and then finding themselves listening to a podcast like this.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool that no matter if it's tomorrow or 2 years from now, someone, may see this and, want to dedicate themselves, accept Christ in their life. So I thought you would enjoy that.
And that's awesome. And that speaks more volumes in a way than, than the hit in and of itself, Somebody actually
Amen.
Accepting Christ and coming to know the Lord is the most important thing that we can help people do.
So to my point with your challenge, if there is somebody who's listening for the first time and, they came across this podcast because they saw my name or baseball is fun, and they're like, I don't really know about all this, Brett. Listen, I have sympathy. I have empathy. I totally understand. All I want to encourage you to do for your challenge is once a day or night, whenever you have time, head on over to YouTube, type in testimonies, type in, how God has worked through other people in their life. I challenge you to listen to good stories, true stories of people who have been down on their luck, who have been broken and have found God and how he has worked through their life. And you may find yourself gravitating towards wanting to feel that and I just want to encourage you to just listen to stories if you haven't gotten to the point yet where you want to accept Christ into your life. Second thing, physically, your physical well-being is just as important as your mental, as your spiritual, as your emotional. And I want to encourage you, if you're like, "Brett, man, this whole working out isn't for me," find 30 minutes in your lunch break or maybe at night before you shower to walk around your neighborhood, or just go outside and give me 30 minutes of your time to find some type of physical activity. And I promise it's going to help with stress. It's going to help with anxiety. It's going to help with depression, whatever it may be. It's going to make it less because of what is going on internally in your body, releasing endorphins, releasing serotonin, whatever it may be that working out it comes from. But definitely want to encourage you to do that. So yeah, that's my challenge for people who have come in here and have listened to it all the way through.
There you go. Well, Brett, I love those challenges, man. Thank you so much for joining me on the 48 Men podcast. You are awesome, and I want to make this hot yoga thing happen one day. We'll have to look into it.
Dude, you got my number. Let's keep in touch. Seriously, I appreciate you so much for having me, sticking through the technical difficulties. And, man, God bless to you and your wife, and sending you all the blessings.
Thank you, man.